In a lot of movies, the main character doesn't fail because they lack skill, but because they make the same choice over and over again. And most of them don't change because they want to, but because they have no option left.
Most movies you watch follow a very specific structure, and hiding that structure is one of the great arts in filmmaking. Have you ever felt like you were watching the same movie, just in a different setting, with different characters? Well, in a way, you are. So let's figure out how important these structures really are. Because once you start to recognize the plot beats, you can't unsee them. A film's opening might already tell you how the story is going to end.
Welcome to Plot Beats, where I take a closer look at these crucial moments in a film to better understand how themes, characters and structure shape a story. In the last episode, we saw how an impulsive boy who lacked control managed to overcome his fate by turning his weaknesses into strengths. Today, we take a look at a movie where the opposite is true. A man's struggle to let go of control could lead to devastating consequences. A modern classic that brought generations together, Top Gun Maverick.
After some nostalgia-fueled opening credits, we're introduced to an older Maverick. He's holding on to his past in many ways. He still works for the Navy, wears his jacket made of memories, and drives his same old bike. And it becomes clear very quickly that when it comes to his personality, he hasn't changed a bit. Bending the rules, trying to stay in control over every situation, and still taking big risks. Not always working out.
30 years later, Maverick is still Maverick, and someone who already had a share of growth in the first movie. Now, that might seem like a strength, but in this story, that's exactly what will be tested. Maverick isn't letting go of the past, but he's about to be forced to.
During the aftermath of the opening sequence, and to everyone's surprise, Maverick is sent back to Top Gun. This time though, not as a pilot, but as an instructor. And that changes a lot.
Teach, sir.
He's no longer the one flying the missions, he's responsible for training others to do it.
This shift from pilot to instructor is important because from this point on, his need to control everything doesn't just affect him, it starts to limit the people around him.
As the world opens up, we're introduced to an old flame and a new generation of pilots, including Rooster, the son of Goose. Rooster isn't just another pilot, he's the son of Maverick's former wingman, who died years ago during a mission they flew together. Instead of trusting Rooster, Maverick holds him back, not because he doubts his skill, but because he's afraid of what might happen. Afraid of making the same mistake he made in the past and losing Rooster, just like he lost Goose. And so, what should be a shift in responsibility becomes a continuation of the same behavior. Rather than guiding the team, he steps in whenever things fall apart, demonstrating, correcting, and taking control himself.
This plot beat doesn't just introduce new characters, it shows us what's been keeping Maverick stuck in the past. It's no longer just about control, it's about control driven by fear. His biggest challenge isn't flying, it's letting others fly without him.
The mission is revealed, a near impossible strike on a heavily defended target. A mission that requires perfect timing, coordination, and above all, trust. Because this isn't something a single pilot can do. The entire team has to work together.
Every story needs a conflict that forces the character's flaw into the open. The mission isn't just nearly impossible, but it's also going to expose Maverick's inability to let go. Because success now depends on the one thing he can't fully give up: control.
At first, the challenges feel doable. Training, team building, pushing limits. But every time something goes wrong, Maverick steps in. Not to guide, but to correct. Meanwhile, there's someone who represents a different approach. Iceman. Someone who understands that leadership isn't about doing everything yourself, but about trusting others to step up when it matters. Their contrast highlights Maverick's flaw. The more control he takes, the less space he gives others to grow.
But he's still far from letting go, because underneath it all is still that same fear that if he doesn't stay in control, things will fall apart like in the past. So even though the team is improving, the underlying problem stays the same. Every time Maverick steps in, he solves the moment, but avoids the real issue underneath. And it's just a matter of time.
As training continues, the pressure increases, but Maverick keeps stepping in, until one of the training runs goes so bad that the mission is put under review. Maverick is removed from his role as instructor, and for the first time, it's not just the mission that's at risk, but his entire position within the Navy.
Control is working against him, but losing control here doesn't just affect the mission, it threatens everything he built his identity on. And instead of stepping back, it pushes him forward even harder, once again by making the same choice.
Maverick steals a plane and proves to everyone that the mission can be done, by showing it himself. In doing so, he removes any doubt that it's possible and commits the team to the real mission.
The point of no return isn't just a decision. It's the moment from which there's no
going back.
From here on, the question is no longer if the mission will happen, but how it will happen, and whether Maverick can still change before it's too late.
Well, Maverick is appointed team leader. He gets to step out of his role as instructor and take full control over the mission. It's everything he wanted: the responsibility, the authority, the ability to make every decision himself. But as we now know, that's exactly where the problem lies. Because once he's given full control, he falls back into his old pattern, especially when it comes to Rooster. So when the moment comes to make a choice, he doesn't keep Rooster at a distance. He pulls him closer. He chooses him as his wingman.
Maverick finally gets what he wants, full control. But instead of solving the problem, it just exposes it even more, because every decision now has real, major consequences.
And exactly what we've been building toward happens. After the target's been destroyed and the mission reaches its most dangerous point, Maverick does what he's been doing all along. He tries to hold everything together. But then, Rooster is exposed and out of options. And in that moment, Maverick finds out the consequences of his earlier decisions. He does what he always does. He steps in. He takes the hit and goes down.
A heroic moment becomes his biggest setback, because the very thing that's been driving him, take control to prevent loss, is exactly what brings him down. He's lost all control over the situation, the ability to safeguard the people he cares about, and, as we're about to see, his own fate.
While death is staring him in the eyes, Maverick is out of options. For the first time, there's nothing left to control. No plan, no way out. And then, Rooster shows up. Not because Maverick told him to, or because he was ordered to, but because he chooses to come back.
This is where the story has been building toward, the moment everything shifts. For the first time, the man who always had to be in control is now completely dependent on someone else to survive. It forces him to rely on the one thing he has left: trust.
While trying to get back home, in a plane as old as Maverick, he and Rooster get caught in a seemingly hopeless dogfight. And for them to survive, they have to work together perfectly. And it looks like Maverick's doing what he's always done: taking the lead, making the calls, staying in control. But this time, he's no longer trying to carry everything on his own. He trusts Rooster to be there when it counts, to follow through, and to make the moments that matter work. For the first time, Rooster fully commits to Maverick's lead. They make an incredible team, but when they eventually run out of missiles and every option disappears, the mission stops being about winning.
It becomes about surviving the moment they can no longer control.
And that's when everything comes down to trust. and timing.
And that's where it all comes together. With Maverick no longer in control, it's trust and not control that brings him and Rooster home in one piece.
As Maverick makes it back, he's still the same pilot, still Maverick. But he no longer carries his past as something he needs to control. Instead, he's learned to live with it, without letting it dictate every decision he makes. Everything that started with a pilot who always needed to be in control, a past he couldn't leave behind, and a mission that forced him to face his greatest fear, has led to real change. Maverick's journey shows that in the end, it's not control that gets you home, but trust.
To me, Top Gun Maverick is a very interesting movie for many reasons. Beyond its amazing action sequences, its beautiful cinematography and nostalgic warmth, it also takes a lot of time to explore the underlying relationships, both on the ground and in the air. And I think especially that last bit is what makes the movie, at least to me, so memorable. It's also a great example of how looking at themes, characters and structure can change the way how you interpret a story. Picking Rooster as his wingman can be seen as a sign of trust, and Maverick's sacrifice as heroic, but it all comes from a pattern of choices that needed to be broken. It's a surprisingly emotional story about facing your fears in the form of the past and how that connects to control. And I hope that this video has shown you that it was never just a movie about a mission, but about holding on and learning when to let go. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you made it all the way to the end, I can't thank you enough. What do you think characters like Cyclone, Penny and Hangman's roles in the story were? And also, what's your favorite plot beat in a movie? I'd love to read it in the comments. On behalf of Toby and me, thank you for watching.